Welcome to this video. My name is Pedro Rodrigues Ribeiro. I'm a psychologist from Portugal, and today I would like to introduce to you Irving Kirsch. Dr. Kirsch is a psychologist, psychotherapist, and researcher. He is one of the key figures in hypnosis, but also in psychotherapy with his studies on the placebo effect. Not only his work in hypnosis and the placebo effect, but also Dr. Kirsch was a controversial figure in a very strong debate about antidepressants efficacy. His book, The Emperor's New Drug, started a great controversial and debate in the United States and also in other countries like the United Kingdom about the true efficacy of antidepressant medication, and also the data that supposedly the FDA, which is the American organization who regulates the testing for antidepressants and other substances. FDA, it's the Food and Drug Administration. The controversy was that the FDA was hiding some results that weren't favorable, or and was they weren't they didn't create a good image for certain antidepressants, and Dr. Kirsch found that, and he wrote a book, The Emperor's New Drug, and the controversy really started to build up. But I would like to start from the beginning. So, the main research of Dr. Kirsch was always on the placebo effect. For someone who doesn't know, the placebo effect is what is called when you take a certain substance who hasn't got an active principle, but if you tell the person that he's taking, for example, a certain medication, and it is a sugar pill or a saline solution, if someone believes that he's taking the medication and the medication really helps for a specific reason, his body will react, has his mind perceived that the medication will help you. So that's the placebo effect. Every medication has a certain degree of placebo effect, and you can say that psychotherapy and mind-body interventions and others have a certain placebo effect to a certain degree. So his research tend to discover hypnosis, or Dr. Kirsch didn't discover hypnosis, but he started to research in hypnosis because he considered that hypnosis was the stronger placebo effect that exists. So that's why he started to do that research on hypnosis and the placebo effect. Not only that, but Dr. Kirsch was responsible in creating a theory on hypnosis. His theory is called the expectancy response set. So, in Dr. Kirsch's mind, what happens in hypnosis, it's the direct response to the expectancies that the people that the patient has, but also the expectancies that the therapist has. So, in certain way, the patient is responding to to what is expected of him, not only as a hypnotized subject, but also what is expected as a patient, as someone that is in a therapeutic relationship and is with a therapist. So, briefly, that's the expectancy response set. What it's based on socio-cognitive variables. So, in the sense, Dr. Kirsch's theory really resides in the socio-cognitive theories of hypnosis, and it's a well-based research theory. And Dr. Kirsch is really a preponderant figure in the field of hypnosis and psychotherapy. He co-authored a lot of books about hypnosis. Some of them are published by the American Psychological Association. His research with other cognitive and social cognitive theorists, like, for example, Stephen J. Lynn or Guy Montgomery, really helped to advance hypnosis as a field, not only in the clinical sense, but mostly in the research stand. Dr. Kirsch is responsible for the first well-made meta-analysis on the efficacy of hypnosis as coadjuvant or yeah, I think it's pronounced coadjuvant. I don't know. As a coadjuvant for cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a meta-analysis from '95, so it's very old, but it's a good base to start in research if you want to know more about hypnosis research, and as a way to boost the efficacy of therapy. So many people do value that meta-analysis, and another bunch of people had claimed that meta-analysis has certain limitations, and we can all agree that every research paper has its limitations. Every research has its limitations. Notwithstanding, that meta-analysis started a whole bunch of research in the field of hypnosis, and one of his past undergraduate students, Guy Montgomery, turned out to be one other preponderant key figure in the hypnosis, specifically in pain management. So really, Dr. Montgomery is a well established therapist and researcher in pain management with hypnosis. So Dr. Kirsch really started a discussion in hypnosis research and clinical hypnosis. Not only that, but also Dr. Kirsch at a certain point contribute to the definition of hypnosis, general definition, which could joint various perspectives on hypnosis, and that definition and that task force really with, for example, Dr. Joseph Green established at some point the definition of hypnosis of HAPA's Division 30. Nowadays it's called Society for Psychological Hypnosis. That year the name was different, but it's a definition from 2005. Well, 2000s, really. I'm not sure of the date, but it's a well done definition of hypnosis, one that is still used for most people. For example, my friends at the Association for the Advances of Experimental and Clinic and Applied Hypnosis in Spain, the university and the University of Valencia, really they utilize that definition in IAS definition of hypnosis. And Dr. Kirsch is a well known member of a lot of hypnosis association. He received a lot of awards, achievement awards, so he is a very important figure in the field of hypnosis, but also psychotherapy and the placebo effect. As I started to say a couple of minutes ago, Dr. Kirsch also started a debate on, well, he didn't start it, but his research on the efficacy of antidepressants will really start a controversial debate on the United States, and but also in the United Kingdom and other countries, because of all the data that he presented. So, in sum, very briefly, Dr. Kirsch discovered by a lot of meta-analysis that the effects of antidepressants versus the effects of the placebo effect were not statistically significant. And that's strange because we all know that antidepressant medication works, or supposedly it works. So, in conversations with other clinicians, they suggested that that Dr. Kirsch really get the information from the source. So, utilizing one of the laws, the Freedom of Information Act, which is in the American Constitution, Dr. Kirsch was able to access some data from the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, the entity that regulates the research that is made on psychopharmacological medication. And what he found out is that in most cases, a lot of tests that would make and not prove that a certain kind of antidepressant was really effective, that those results were hidden from the final cut. So, in that sense, everyone thought that the medication was really as effective as some studies represented to. Dr. Kirsch published those results and published all that story in the book called The Emperor's New Drug, and he was publicly criticized by psychiatrists, physicians, some colleagues, some psychologists, and mostly the FDA. At some point, Dr. Kirsch had to leave the United States because it was really a tsunami, and he was the center of the tsunami. So, in that sense, I think that Dr. Kirsch is a key figure, not only in hypnosis, but also his expectancy response theory can be and is applied to psychotherapy in general. If you think about it, the patient has certain expectations, certain conceived ideas about therapy, and mostly they will act upon it. Also, the therapist has expectations and has certain ideas about how to conduct the therapeutic process, and he will act upon it. If a therapist really can respond to the expectations of the patient, and in some cases work some irrational expectations, the therapeutic process will be much valuable and will be much richer, not only for the therapist but mostly for the patient. So Dr. Kirsch is really responsible for a very interesting idea on psychotherapy and the placebo effect. I thank you for your time. I hope that this video will be some help to you. If you don't know Dr. Kirsch's work, I really advise you to, I really suggest that you read some articles, or maybe The Emperor's New Drug. It's a very nice book and a very surprising book. I see you next time. Be safe, take care, and have a nice week.